What's up YouTube, PokePrimer here, primed and ready to deliver you our draft analysis for Fella Season 3 here on the channel, guys. You can see right there, we are still repping the Hazleton Hoopas logo here in Fella. I was able to scoop up the Fella logo for this little opening segment here. It's pretty freaking dope, I love it. But I'm really hyped. Huge shout out right beforehand. Before I get too far into this, huge monumental shout out to my buddy Alex, aka Waffles, the Asian Yen Bear. That man's the real MVP. You know, he's one of the guys in charge of Fella, and he's the one who originally brought me into this league through his channel. I got into this league, and really fantastic dude. He actually made all of our draft picks today. He was the real MVP. I was away visiting family during the time of the draft, and I was not going to be able to make my picks very effectively. And he stepped in. I sent him my lists last night, and he was able to work with it, even when he missed part of my messages. And like he went back and made sure he edited it, and make sure that I got what I originally wanted. Which is really fantastic, really great dude. Really appreciative of him. Definitely go check out his channel. I'll make sure to link that in the description below. You guys can check that out. But enough rambling. We got a really fantastic squad. You're gonna see a lot of it's very similar to other things that we are using elsewhere, and I'll explain that more as we get through the actual analysis. But I just wanted to get this little intro in here, give him a shout out and whatnot. But you will be seeing the actual analysis pop up right about now. Cue showdown. Alright guys, you can see, as you guys know, I like to do my personal plan when it comes to drafting. I like to have my Mega first. That's absolutely paramount to me. I think the Mega is one of the most important parts of the draft, and you really can build your team around that Mega. And I wanted to go with one that I'm kind of a little bit more familiar with. I had a couple of different draft plans, and 3 out of 5 of them were already taken by the time I got around to it. And actually, if I can pull it up, you'll probably see this pop up on screen for a second. I'm going to pull it up. I'm going to pull it up real quick. Let's just kind of tell you guys what I had going on in my head. Get this off the screen and put it over here. Alright, so when it came down to my Mega, I had 5 options in mind. Mega Altaria, which was taken. Mega Venusaur, which was taken. Mega Lopunny, which you guys all know I use Mega Lopunny all the damn time. That ended up being taken. Mega Manectric, which was my other option, but I decided against it, and I decided to go with Mega Charizard Y, because A, I'm getting used to using it. We're using Mega Charizard Y in the NPBA. So I already am kind of comfortable with using Megazor Y. You guys already know what this thing's good at. It tears through teams with that base 159 special attack. It's got base 104 attacks. You can run a physically offensive move if you have to catch something off guard. Base 115 special defense. This thing can take a hit really well on the special side, especially a water hit. This thing can take most water hits very nicely because of the drought ability, putting up the sun and weakening those water type attacks. So overall, Megazord Y is really good. Plus it hits that base 100, which is very important because base 100 mons are very common and a huge threat in the league format, just because of the fact that you know, it's a very good middle ground speed. It's not too fast, so it's they're not too fast, but they get the job done, is a good point. But a lot of the more versatile mons are base 100 speed, so being able to speed tie with those at least is very important. Megazord Y is here to stay. As for the nicknames, you're going to see a lot of cases where the nickname here is different than what we have over in the NPBA. Spoiler, there's a couple other mons on the team that are from that squad, or other squads that we are running at the time. But this Mega Charizard Y I decided to name Igneal after the fire dragon from Fairy Tail that gave Natsu his abilities. So I thought that would be a very, very fitting name for Megazord Y. So we were the 16th pick in the draft, and when it came down to us, obviously we got the wheel pick. And at this point, I already knew the plan that I was going to go with, since I decided that I was going to I decided at this point that I was going to go ahead and essentially copy my Megazord Y plan. I decided that I needed to scoop up Ragnarok, the Tyranitar. Ragnarok is the name we're going to go with. It's the Norse mythology's version of the apocalypse, which is really, really cool. But I had to go with Tyranitar because I want to run my dual weather and see how well it works for me here in Fella. We're undefeated right now in the NPBA, so I figured, hey, why the hell not? You know, we're gonna see what we can do with this, and hopefully it'll pan out well for us. So we'll see what happens with that. But Ragnarok here is a huge threat, very, very huge threat to a lot of teams. Base 134 attack and 95 special attack. This thing can hit very hard on both the physical and special side, so it can really, really put in a lot of work on a lot of teams. And you know, cause a lot of damage, as well as being able to wall a lot of teams with base 100 special defense, which is boosted in the sand that he sets up for himself. Base 110 defense and 100 special defense, or 100 HP. This thing is absolutely terrifying. It's such a good mon. Very, very versatile, very, very deep move pool, and gives us that second form of weather that we are looking for to take advantage of with our team. So that's cool. Next up, though, we waited 30 picks, and I wanted to make sure that I grabbed a Rapid Spinner early on, but I also wanted to start filling out our Firewater Grass Core. Because that's very, very important. I feel Firewater Grass Cores are very, very good to have, and starting one off with a Megazord Y is really, really decent. But I wanted to fill it out with another decent mon. And I wanted to grab something a little higher tier to fill that role. And I was looking through a lot of different, a lot of the tiers, and I determined that my best possible option would be Shuriken the Starmie. Shuriken has a lot of potential for our team. Base 85 defenses are really decent, so we can take a hit if we have to. With the ability Natural Cure, if we get statused, we don't really have to worry too much. We can swap out and eliminate it. No issues whatsoever. So that's cool. Yeah, so there's that. We have also access to Analytic. If we want to run a speed lowering nation potentially and make this thing extra bulky, we can really counter something that might be faster than us or whatever. So speedier mons can fuck us up. So there's that. Yeah, so it's base 100 special attack is really, really decent. This thing can hit really, really hard, as well as take the hits, like I mentioned. And then base 115 speed is a really good reason why this thing's good. It outspeeds a lot of mons, so it allows it to be able to get those rapid spins off very, very effectively throughout the matchup. So that's really cool. This thing's really, really badass overall. I'm really happy we got this. It's one of the best spinners in the format. Plus, with its psychic typing, it provides us a strong psychic type as well as the water portion of our fire, water, grass core. The next mon we got was in the wheel pick, and I made sure to specify to Waffles that I needed this mon very, very badly. It's going to be our fast electric type for the league, and it's going to be Shazam, the Heliolisk after Captain Marvel, aka Shazam, in the DC universe, in the Justice League. He's one of my favorite superheroes. He's hilarious, he's awesome, and he controls lightning, which just made so much sense to me because Heliolisk is a lightning controlling mon. As for the abilities, this thing has three fantastic abilities. Sand Veil, which could allow us to dip, duck, and dodge around some of them hits in that sandstorm that Tyranitar conveniently puts on the field for us. We have the Dry Skin. Dry Skin, while it makes us a little bit weaker to fire, it allows us to gain back HP in the rain if my opponent tries to use rain against us to screw with our plans. And also allows us to gives us an immunity to water type attacks. And we have access to solar power, which is one of the main abilities we're going to be using, which basically is Life Orb and Choice Specs having a baby. We lose HP every time we attack, but our special attacks are boosted 1.5 times, so it's actually kind of wild. But really, really cool. It has a lot of options that even I didn't realize. There's a couple of things that this mon can do that I wasn't aware of. So I'm definitely going to look more into different movesets for him. But he has so many options he can do. You can run this thing Scarfed. You can run this thing Specs in the right situation, and it's even more crazy because of the solar power. This thing is very, very dangerous to any team. It's got decent special defense, which is usable. 109 speed, so it breaks the 100 speed tier, which is really important. These 109 special attacks, really, really dangerous. So, yeah, awesome stuff, awesome stuff. I love Heliolisk. It's going to put in a lot of work for our team. 30 picks later, it comes time to finish off that Fire, Water, Grass core. I need a Grass type, and I'm looking in our UU tier. We still need another UU pick to pair up with our good buddy. I believe it was OUB. No, it was definitely UU. We still needed a UU mon. Another UU mon to pair up with our Heliolisk, and I'm looking through a lot of the mons that were left, and he mentioned Alomomola, but I was like, I already have Starmie, and I don't need another water type on the squad. And I looked through it, and there's a grass type that just stood out to me that's really, really fantastic, and that is Noodlesworth, the Tangrowth. Noodles worth is fantastic. Base 100 HP and 125 defense. This thing can take any physical hit any day of the week. Base 100 attack and 110 special attack. This thing hits back really, really hard. It's only got base 50 special defense, which kind of sucks, but we can take advantage of that. We can assault vest it in a lot of situations and really, really take advantage of it. Its regenerator ability is fantastic. It allows us to switch into hits and then switch right back out and gain that HP back, as well as keeping this thing's longevity going. It allows this thing to be an ultimate pivot to a lot of different for a lot of different mons. So we can bring it in, take the hit, switch it back out, and keep taking those hits throughout the whole game. If I play it appropriately, this thing can put in a lot of work for our team. The generator ability is probably the one we're going to use most often, but we do have access to chlorophyll as well. So if I wanted to, I can make this thing a potential chlorophyll sweeper with Zardwise Sun. But that's, you know, entirely situational, and in the right matchup, maybe it could happen. Who knows? We'll see. I don't know yet, but this thing's going to put in a lot of work. It's going to wall a lot of things and do a lot of damage to a lot of teams. So I'm really, really excited about having Noodles work on the squad. I cannot wait to finally start using this thing. Next up, I decided I wanted to grab a PU mon a little early, because I wanted one more of my little gems from the MPBA, and I was able to scoop it up. I'm really happy about it. We got Scruff McGruff, the Stoutland. Scruff McGruff is here. Scruff McGruff has a lot of potential for our team. Base 88 speed is not bad, especially considering the fact that you can potentially put it in the sand with Sand Rush, and it can outspeed pretty much an entire team on its own, including Scarfers, which is great. So that's cool. It gets access to Intimidate as well, which is a really, really useful ability. Intimidate allows it to be more of a wall, and it can do the wall job very nicely with base 85 HP and 90 defenses, which is really, really decent. So if I need to make Stoutland a wall for a week, I can definitely do that. Base 110 attack is even more terrifying. This thing punches holes through teams. If in the right situation and the right moveset is available, Scruff McGruff can essentially tear a team down, piece by piece by piece, tear the whole thing down and run through it. This thing gets somewhat decent coverage, but overall this thing it's here to just eliminate and punch hole after hole after hole in a team, and it's really, really terrifying to deal with if you're not fully prepared for what's coming. Like, this thing is absolutely a terror to deal with for anybody. So if I was my opponents, I wouldn't be excited every time I saw Scruff McGruff on the other side. But that's gonna be our Stout. 30 turns go by, and I'm like, ooh, I could really use a spin blocker. I could really use a spin blocker because I have my spinner, I have my Firewater Grass Core completed, I got my fast electric type, I got my dual weather set up, already ready to go, I got my weather users ready to go, a lot of my offense was figured out, or a good portion of my offense and my main cores were kind of figured out, but I needed a spin blocker, because if I want the ability to hazard stack, if I ever get the opportunity to hazard stack my opponents, I will definitely go for it. And having a spin blocker is really, really useful, because if your opponent doesn't have a reliable defogger, you can essentially hazard stack them all day, and they can't spin the hazards away, and you're good to go. So I decided I wanted to grab someone who can do multiple things other than spin block, and one of those mons actually turned out to be the ultimate counter to Megalopunny, which has been touted by multiple GBA players and whatnot as one of the best Megas in the League format, and that being Megalopunny. And the counter to that is Imhotep Regas. This thing is really, really dangerous. Even though its HP isn't all that great, it's very, very bulky with base 145 defense and 105 special defense. It's absolutely terrifying to face off against. So this thing can eat hits from both sides all day, every day. With a base 95 special attack, this thing does hit back very, very hard. But a couple of things that are noticeable that this thing does best. First of all, its mummy ability. This thing can counter a lot of physical attackers very, very well. You switch into something that's got Scrappy, now it no longer has Scrappy. It can't hit you. It can no longer hit Coffee. That's why this thing's such a counter to Mega Lopunny, because usually all it really needs to run is return and high jump kick, or return and Drain Punch or something. Usually a fighting normal stab is untouchable, but this thing switches in, gives it the mummy ability, and essentially counters it. Unless Mega Lopunny's running Toxic, which is very, very situational, and if it predicts the switch appropriately, good for them. Unless it just goes for the Toxic, this thing switches into an attack for Mega Lopunny. Bye-bye Scrappy, and then you get a free Will-O-Wisp on the Mega Lopunny, or whatever comes in. You get a free move against that mon, which is great. Another good thing about Cofagrigus is looking at some of its options. It has the ability to set up, it can Nasty Plot, or it can Calm Mind. It has access to Haze, which can screw over setup. It gets Hex, which you can use effectively against a lot of against mons that you can status. And I have a couple things on my team that can status mons pretty effectively. So you can definitely use that to your advantage. It gets decent coverage in your Energy Ball, Grass Knot, the hidden powers, Shadow Ball, Dark Pulse, stuff like that. Destiny Bond can be kind of interesting if used appropriately. It gets knockoff, so I mean, even though it's got abysmal physical attack, it can still be used for utility purposes. Magic Coat to be an anti-lead. Memento to allow for potential setup opportunities. Nightshade, just for the sake of nightshading things. Nightshade's a really, really good move. Pain Split for recovery. Rest for recovery. Psychic for coverage. Substitute. Toxic Spikes. Toxic Spikes is a really, really good move to have in the League format. Another form of Hazard on our team, which is really cool, as we already do have a Stealth Rocker in Ragnarok, which is cool. But it's really, really interesting to see the options this thing provides us. Cofagrigus can do so many things for our team, and I'm really, really excited to have Cofagrigus here on the squad. So hopefully Cofagrigus can put in the kind of work that I think he is. Hopefully he doesn't disappoint me. I don't think he will, because Cofagrigus is fantastic in so many ways. Cofagrigus puts in so much work. I'm really, really happy to have it. Next up, for our wheel pick, I grabbed somebody from the PFL Minor League that you guys all know and love as Preference. Preference the Gothitelle is the only one who keeps her nickname because it's just such a... it's the only nickname I can come up with. But, Preference, I literally drafted it for the purpose of Shadow Tag. This thing is an assassin, straight up assassin. This thing comes in, traps something, kills it. Comes in, traps it, kills it. That's literally all Gothitelle does, and Gothitelle does it better than most mons. Gothitelle is insanely good at its job. There's not many mons out there with Shadow Tag ability that are, viable in OU and below, they're usable in OU and below, that are as good at trapping and killing things as Gothitelle. Gothitelle's coverage is insane. Dark Pulse, Energy Ball, the hidden powers, obviously, Psychic Psyshock, of course, Signal Beam, Shadow Ball, Thunderbolt. This thing gets the coverage it needs to pretty much come in and trap something and KO it. Just the other day, in the PFL, I was able to trap and kill a Slowbro. Even though we didn't win that match, Gothitelle was very useful in trapping and killing the mons it needed to kill, which is awesome. Preference is really going to put in a lot of work. Preference has some decent natural bulk, 95 defense, 110 special defense, and 70 HP. It's really, really decent, so it's very bulky as well. Base 65 speed isn't much, but it can actually work really well in trapping and killing some of the things that I need it to. And it's very good at trapping walls. It's faster than most walls. So it's really, really awesome. Can't wait to use it again. Things came around again. I wanted to get my Fairy Dragon Steel Core built, but I didn't have the points to do it because Drudagon and Escavalier were both sitting there, and I was really wanting them. But I already grabbed an Argumon and Imhotep, and if I were to grab a third Argumon, I wouldn't have enough points to finish off building my team. I would have only had 60 points left, and I needed at least 80 points left to be able to get, I needed at least, I forget how many points I needed, but I needed more than that. I needed like 100 points left to clean up the rest of it, because I needed one more PU and one more NU after that. I needed to have at least one NU and one PU on the team, so sadly, I was not able to draft Drudagon. Which really kind of sucks, but you know, what can you do? But I was able to scoop up a Steel type, which is very, very good Steel type because it's only got one weakness. And at this point in the team build, we already had 3 Mons that resist it. So we have 3 Mons that resist its only weakness, which is really, really good. And that is going to be Gaia the Fierce Knight, the Escavalier, with its potential Shell Armor ability to avoid critical hits, Overcoat to dodge those powdery moves and whatnot, so it's really, really good for that. It's got insane base attack, base 135, base 70 HP plus 105 defenses, allows this thing to eat so many hits. It's completely insane. This thing puts in so much work. It's very slow, but at the same time, it's more than effective in what it does. This thing does everything that you could ever something you could ever really need. Like, it's just too good. So, Escavalier is going to put in a lot of work for our team. It doesn't have too much coverage options, but the coverage moves it does have: Drill Run, Mega Horn, Iron Head, Knock Off, Poison Jab. You know, these moves are all it really needs, essentially. Like, it doesn't need much else, because this thing hits so hard. Even things that resist its hits don't really want to switch in. Unless it's like a 4 times resist or it's extra bulky, it doesn't want to switch in. So Escavalier really puts in a lot of work for the squad. It's just being a bulky offensive monster. Pairing up with him, I decided to grab, I needed a Defogger, and I looked through the remainder of what I needed. I needed 2 NUs and a PU, and I looked through NU, and like, the only Defogger I'm seeing is my last repeat mon from the PFL Minor League. We're bringing in Stink Bomb, the Skuntank. Most likely going to be running the Aftermath ability because that 25% after he gets killed by a physical hit, it's so good. But this thing actually carries a lot of decent coverage. It gets good poison coverage between things like Acid Spray, which will lower the target's special defense, which is great, to, you know, the Sludge Bombs, Sludge Waves, and Poison Jabs of all. It gets fire coverage for the Steel types that might want to switch into its Poison type moves, Fire Blast and Flamethrower, which is really good. It does get Defog, which is the main reason why I drafted it, which, of course, you know, it's a good Pokemon. It's got Defog and it's going to put in work, so that's cool. And look at its stats. Like, its stats aren't bad. Base 103 HP is going to eat those hits really, really nice. Base 93 attack and base 71 special attack means this thing can be run mixed. It's more bulky. It's more to be used bulky mixed attacking style. I mean, its defenses are kind of poor, but its HP covers for it. But this thing can hit hard. This thing can actually hit decently hard on both sides. And having base 84 speed isn't that slow. So this thing actually is really decent. So I'm really happy to have Scott Tank again. Hopefully I can use it a little bit more effectively in this league than I have in PFL. But, you know, we'll see what happens there. I'm really looking forward to it. Now, the last 30 picks before my final 2 picks came around, I'm just kind of struggling at this point. I know I needed a fairy. I knew I needed a fairy, and I'm like, PU or NU, that's what we got left. And I'm looking in PU, and I'm like, just not really feeling what we got going on here, man. Not feeling it. And you know, I asked them, like, hey, what? I'm talking to Waffles and seeing what we got going on. And I'm looking in through PU, and I'm like, I'm not feeling any of these fairies, and I don't want to draft Wigglytuff again, because Wigglytuff did put in some work for me last season, especially getting that competitive boost after losing that special defense drop off of the Earth Power. Getting that competitive boost actually allowed us to win that match against Cassie, or again, I believe it was Cassie last season. It allowed us to win that match, so it was really useful. But I decided against it, and I decided I wanted to draft Clefairy. Now, it's baby Clefable. It's basically baby Clefable without leftovers, but it's got Magic Guard, so you can't status and Toxic Stall this thing. Base 70 HP, base 48 and 65 defense, special defense with the Eviolite, mind you. It's gonna have Eviolite. So those defenses are definitely better. They're actually kind of decent. This thing's gonna put in work as a very good supportive mon. I feel it gets good coverage, so it can, you know, cover all of its bases. It gets Aromatherapy, Heal Bell, Wish, Healing Wish, all the things you need to be a Cleric. And it can sit on the field for a long time. It also gets Stealth Rock, so it can take some of the pressure off of Ragnarok as well. So that's really cool. This thing overall basically fills a supportive role very nicely, and I named it Fawn Strangle because I wanted to make a Fairly Odd Parents reference, but I didn't want to make the obvious Cosmo or obvious Wanda reference for obvious reasons. So I decided to go with Jorgen Fawn Strangle because I figured this thing's going to put in some work. So that's the plan there. As for the last pick, I looked at my team and I was like, the only thing I really feel like I'm missing is strong Fighting Stab. Fighting Stab is very key to a team. I have Defog, I have Rapid Spin. You know, if I look at some of my draft plans, you know, I have written out a lot of the things that you need for a team. You got a fast electric type, we have Healing Mist. Spinner, we have Starmie. Defogger, Skuntank, Spin Block, Cofagrigus. We have setup options. We have plenty of setup options and potential Dragon Dance. T-Tar, Dragon Dance, Zard Y, Calm Mind. Do you get Calm Mind? Starmie does not get Calm Mind. Do you get any setup? You got Agility, Heliolisk, potentially. You know, something like that. You get any setup? We have Swords Dancing Tangrowths. Okay, Swords Dancing Tangrowths. I believe it gets Growth as well, which is even more terrifying. So that's cool. You get any setup? I hope you don't. That would be terrifying. No, you get Work Up. You get Work Up. It's not really viable setup, but it's there. Calm Mind, Nasty Plot, Cofagrigus, Calm Minding, Gothitelle. You get SD, right? Swords Dancing, Escavalier's a thing. Skuntank doesn't get any setup that I can think of, and then, you know, Fawn Strangle does get Calm Mind if I ever had the instance where I could use that. I have a lot of setup mons. I have a Firewater Grass Core. Wasn't able to complete my Fairy Dragon Steel Core, but that's okay. You got a Cleric and Clefairy who can do that job very well. I got Hazards. I have Toxic Spikes on Cofagrigus, and I have access to Stealth Rocks on both Fawn Strangle and Ragnarok. And then I have, as for priority, my team's kind of lacking on priority, like completely lacking on priority. I have Sucker Punch on Skuntank, and that's pretty much it. My only form of priority, which is fine. But I needed strong fighting type stat. I'm looking at my team, and I don't have a strong fighting stat, so I scooped up Sock. Sock is great because it does provide me that strong fighting stab, close combat. It'll put in some work. It can set up. It's got bulk up. Does really good. Gets great abilities in Sturdy and Bolt Breaker, so that's even better. Bolt Breaker Earthquake is really good. Gets lots of coverage. Fire Punch, Ice Punch, Knock Off, Poison Jab, Rock Slide, Thunder Punch, all those kind of moves. Really good. Overall, Sock provides a decent amount of coverage and options. It's got decent natural bulk, base 75 across the board in its defenses. Base 125 attack, it's going to punch holes. And base 85 speed isn't that bad. It can do work when it needs to. But that's going to be our draft. If you guys have enjoyed, please make sure to leave a like down below and subscribe if you haven't already. And root for us, the Hazleton Hoopas, as we go through Fella Season 3. Let's prove why we were put in the #1 ranking bracket. Let's prove why we're there. Let's prove why we're here. If you guys... yeah, that's it. See you guys around. Until next time, I'm PokePrimer, signing off.